In a world where ancient legends are forgotten, one scholar stumbles upon the last living centaur. A hidden power, a dangerous secret, and an ancient magic that could change everything. Will they protect the balance, or unleash chaos? This short introduction is designed to quickly hook the viewer with mystery and excitement, while teasing the core elements of the story. In the heart of Thrace, nestled between towering mountains and ancient forests, whispers of long-lost creatures lingered in the air. These whispers told of a time when the world was filled with beings of myth, creatures so extraordinary that humans could not fully comprehend them. Among the most feared and revered were the centaurs, half human, half horse, known for their unmatched strength and deep connection to nature. For centuries, these creatures had been both protectors and warriors, guarding the balance of the natural world. Their connection to an ancient and powerful magic made them formidable allies or terrifying enemies. Yet, over time, the centaurs vanished, fading from reality and into the realm of legend. Some believed they had been hunted to extinction by men who feared their might and the mystery surrounding them. Others thought the centaurs simply withdrew into the wilderness, choosing to hide from a world that no longer understood them. Regardless, they became mere stories, forgotten myths, their presence in the world reduced to fading memories etched in ancient scrolls. Orion, a young scholar with an insatiable curiosity, had always been fascinated by these myths. He spent countless hours buried in old books, studying lost civilizations and forgotten creatures. While many of his peers scoffed at his passion for what they considered fairy tales, Orion believed that myths often contained kernels of truth. And so, when he stumbled upon a decaying manuscript in a long-abandoned library, his heart raced with excitement. The manuscript spoke of the Last Centaur, a creature named Kaos who, it was said, still lived deep in the shadowy mountains of Thrace. Unlike other legends, this one had an air of authenticity, with detailed descriptions of landmarks and hidden paths that led to the centaur's supposed lair. Orion knew this could be the discovery of a lifetime, proof that myths were rooted in reality. Without hesitation, he packed his belongings and set off on a dangerous journey to find the last of the centaurs. The journey was anything but easy. The path to the mountains was treacherous, filled with peril at every turn. Orion traveled through dense forests where the sun barely pierced the canopy, casting eerie shadows that played tricks on his mind. He crossed fast-flowing rivers, their icy waters threatening to sweep him away, and navigated steep, rocky slopes where a single misstep could mean certain death. Yet, despite the danger, Orion felt an irresistible pull toward the mountains, as though the legend itself were guiding him forward. As he ventured deeper into the wilderness, strange occurrences began to unfold. He noticed unusual markings on the trees and rocks, symbols that seemed far too deliberate to be natural. At first, they were subtle, but the further he traveled, the more frequent and complex the markings became. Orion realized they weren't random at all, they were guiding him. It was as if something, or someone, was leading him to a hidden place. The air grew thicker with every step, charged with a strange energy that Orion had never felt before. It was as though the very fabric of nature had come alive around him. The wind carried unfamiliar sounds, and the ground beneath his feet seemed to pulse with a life of its own. As he climbed higher into the mountains, he felt the presence of something ancient, something far older than he could comprehend. After days of travel, exhaustion began to take its toll. Orion's body ached from the relentless hike, and his supplies were dwindling. Doubt crept into his mind, and he wondered if the legend of the Last Centaur was nothing more than a fantasy, a wild chase that would lead to nothing. But just as he considered turning back, he stumbled upon a hidden valley, concealed by towering cliffs and thick mist. The valley was unlike anything he had ever seen. Lush greenery stretched as far as the eye could see, and in the distance, a crystal-clear river snaked through the land, glistening under the faint light of the setting sun. The valley seemed untouched by time, a place where nature reigned supreme and the outside world was a distant memory. Orion's heart pounded in his chest, he had found it. As he cautiously descended into the valley, the sense of being watched grew stronger. He knew he was no longer alone. His instincts told him to be careful, but his curiosity pushed him forward. At the edge of a small clearing, he paused, scanning the landscape for any sign of life. And then, from the shadows, it appeared. A figure emerged from the mist, towering and imposing. It was Kaos, the Last Centaur. Kaos was a sight to behold. His upper body was that of a powerful man, with broad shoulders and muscular arms. His skin was weathered and tanned from centuries spent in the wild. His lower half, that of a horse, was equally magnificent, sleek and strong, with dark fur that shimmered in the fading light. But what struck Orion most were the centaur's eyes, deep, intelligent, and filled with the weight of countless years. There was a sadness in those eyes, as though Kaos carried the burden of a long, forgotten past. For a moment, they stood there, staring at each other in silence. Orion's mind raced with questions, but he couldn't find the words. It was Kaos who finally broke the silence, his voice deep and resonant, echoing through the valley like a distant thunder. "You've come far, young one," Kaos said, his tone neither welcoming nor hostile. "But do you truly understand what you seek?" Orion swallowed, his throat dry. "I seek the truth," he replied. "The truth about your kind, and the truth about the ancient magic you protect." Kaos studied him for a long moment before speaking again. "Then you have much to learn." Kaos, the last of his kind, stood tall before Orion, a creature who had seen the rise and fall of kingdoms, the ebb and flow of nature itself. The weight of centuries rested heavily on his shoulders, but there was still a fire burning in his eyes. Orion knew, in that moment, that this meeting was not just a discovery of legend, it was the beginning of something far greater. The truth about the centaurs, and the ancient magic they had guarded for millennia, was more than he had ever imagined. Long ago, Kaos began, his deep voice filled with both sorrow and strength. The centaurs were not the wild creatures that myths have turned us into. We were the guardians of the Earth's most ancient magic, the source of all life and balance in this world. This magic was not something we created, it was entrusted to us by the gods, woven into the fabric of nature itself. Orion listened in awe as Kaos spoke, every word revealing a history lost to time. The centaurs had once been part of a grand alliance with humans, working together to protect the magic that sustained the natural world. But over the centuries, greed and ambition crept into the hearts of men. What had once been a harmonious partnership between species turned to betrayal. Humans, lusting for power, sought to control the magic we had sworn to protect. Kaos continued, his voice heavy with the pain of old memories. They feared what they did not fully understand, and rather than coexisting with us, they sought to destroy us. A great war broke out, a war that wiped out nearly all of my kind. I am all that remains. Orion felt a chill run down his spine as the gravity of Kaos' words sank in. The centaurs had been nearly exterminated, not because they were dangerous, but because humans had coveted the power they guarded. And now, Kaos stood as the last living sentinel of that ancient responsibility. "There is more," Kaos added, his gaze piercing through Orion. "The magic has remained dormant for centuries, but it is beginning to stir once again. There are those who have rediscovered its existence and seek to claim it for themselves. If they succeed, they will tear apart the delicate balance of this world." Orion's heart pounded. The ancient order of humans that Kaos spoke of had found the hidden paths to the old magic. The scholar had thought his journey was simply to uncover a legend, but now he realized it was a mission to prevent a catastrophe. The balance that Kaos had spent his entire life protecting was in danger of being shattered. "The ancient order," Orion repeated, his mind racing. "Who are they? What do they want?" "They are descendants of those who betrayed the centaurs," Kaos replied, his voice now laced with both anger and determination. "They seek to harness the power for themselves, to dominate both nature and mankind. Their ambition knows no bounds, and if they succeed, the world as you know it will fall into chaos." The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on Orion. He had set out on this journey in search of knowledge, but now he stood on the precipice of a war between those who sought to protect the natural world and those who sought to control it. Kaos was the last hope for maintaining that balance, but even he could not do it alone. "Will you help me?" Kaos asked, though the question felt more like a challenge. "You have already proven your courage by finding me. But courage alone will not be enough. The path ahead will be dangerous, and the enemies we face are more powerful than you can imagine." Orion nodded, though fear gnawed at the edges of his resolve. "I will help you," he said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty in his heart. Whatever it takes. Kaos' eyes softened slightly, as though he saw something in Orion that reminded him of the ancient bond once shared between humans and centaurs. Very well, he said. Then we must act quickly. The Order's influence grows stronger by the day, and if we do not stop them soon, it will be too late. Together, the centaur and the scholar began to prepare for the journey ahead. Kaos revealed hidden paths through the mountains, trails known only to the centaurs, that would lead them to the heart of the enemy's stronghold. Orion, though still shaken by the enormity of the task, began to feel a growing sense of purpose. This was more than a search for ancient truth, it was a fight for the future of the world. As they traveled, Kaos taught Orion about the ancient magic, how it flowed through the earth, the trees, and the wind. It was a force of creation and destruction, capable of bringing life and wreaking havoc. Only those who understood its true nature could wield it without causing harm. Kaos had spent centuries protecting it, but now the time had come to pass that responsibility on to someone else. As they neared the enemy's stronghold, the air grew colder, and the landscape became harsher. The lush forests gave way to barren rock, and a dark, foreboding energy hung in the air. Orion knew that the final battle was close. The ancient order would not give up their pursuit of power without a fight, and the fate of both man and nature hung in the balance. But Orion also knew that, with Kaos by his side, they had a chance to protect the magic and restore the balance that had been broken so long ago. As we journey through the tales of the Last Centaur and the battle for ancient magic, let this story inspire you to seek the truth in your own life. Remember, every challenge is an opportunity to protect what matters most and to strive for balance in our world. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more incredible stories and adventures that will ignite your imagination. Until next time, keep dreaming and exploring the magic around you.